From Space Launch Complex 5 at the Kerbal Space Center, the Kerbal Space Agency is proud to bring you Atlas V launch coverage. At Space Launch Complex 5, and Atlas V is fueled and ready to launch Massivecomsat 2 for NASA. The launch is currently in a planned built-in 4-minute hold, and we're go to proceed with terminal count. Oxidizer, go 1. Oxidizer 1, go. Oxidizer 2, go. Fuel 1, go. Fuel 2, go. Booster, go. Centaur core systems, propulsion, go. Pneumatics, go. Ground systems, water, go. Electrical, go. Electrical systems, airborne, go. Booster, go. Centaur systems, pneumatics, go. Propulsion, go. Vehicle system engineer, go. Anomaly chief, AC is go, ready to launch. AC is go. Mission director, you have permission to launch. Launch director, this is the mission director. This is the mission director. You have permission to launch. Launch director, you are go for launch. Proceeding with the count. Launch is set for 5:59 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Count started at 5:55 Eastern Daylight Time. 3:40. Atlas tank beginning pressurization. Centaur beginning flight pressurization. Solids beginning gimbal. Spacecraft beginning gimbal check. Gimbal check being completed. Gimbal check is good. T-minus 3 minutes, 9 seconds and counting. The Atlas V is beginning the final launch sequence as we prepare for launch. T-minus 3 minutes. The second massive communications satellite is being launched aboard an Atlas V 551 configuration, as the 551 is go for launch. There will be 4 massive communications satellites put up, as well as several semi-synchronous communications satellites, such as the 2 semi-syncoms. We are go for launch in T-minus 2 minutes, 20 seconds. 2:20. Fuel, Centaur systems beginning pressurization, camera check being performed. Camera check is confirmed as nominal. Satellite systems looking nominal. Inside the payload fairing, satellite systems appear nominal. As we are go for launch. The Atlas V is prepared at the Vehicle Assembly Building at the Kerbal Space Center. At the Vehicle Assembly Building, final checks are completed, and then the spacecraft is rolled out to the pad approximately 4 hours before launch. Then the fueling sequence begins, loading all of the liquid fuel and oxidizer. Due to the long duration of this mission, the flight will end with booster separation. T-minus 1 minute, 21 seconds and counting. The spacecraft is beginning final checks as we prepare for launch. The range is green. Mission control, final status check. Go for launch. Atlas, go. Centaur, go. Electrical, airborne, go. FTS, go. Final systems were performed. FTS, Atlas V and Centaur system transferring internal. 40 seconds. Rock report range status. Range green. The range is green. Status check. Go Atlas. Go Centaur. Go Massicom. T-minus 26 seconds. 20 seconds until launch. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, stability on 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition. Ignition on the 5 solid rocket boosters, and liftoff of the Kerbal Launch Services Atlas V rocket, carrying Massivecomsat 2 for the Kerbal Space Agency. Massivecomsats will continue to enhance communications in geostationary orbit for interplanetary missions out beyond Duna. Spacecraft is continuing to climb. Spacecraft autopilot is running. Atlas Common Booster Core is draining. We have 2 minutes remaining in Common Core booster flight as we begin the roll program. Let's put the rocket on the correct downrange orientation. 5 Aerojet AJ-62s providing additional thrust due to the large payload. We are altitude 1 kilometer. Approaching 200 meters per second, surface speed. We have about a half-minute remaining now in solid booster. Solid boosters have plateaued and are beginning to decline. Solid boosters are continuing to increase in thrust. We have a half-minute remaining now in solid rocket motors. In the solid rocket motors, before they are separated. The first 2 solids will separate, and then the second 2, and then the next 3 solids will separate. View now from the external camera aboard the spacecraft. As you can see, number 1 and number 5 solids. This will be the view for separation confirmation on the solid rocket motors. As we continue to arc out over the Kerbal Space Center, spacecraft is continuing to climb as expected. Altitude now 5 kilometers. Velocity 281 meters per second. Spacecraft continuing to fly nominally. Velocity 300 meters per second, approaching Mach 1. Vehicle has Mach 1. Speed of sound, T plus 44 seconds into the mission. The Common Core booster has entered the first of 3 throttle phases. The first throttle phase is performing right now as we prepare as the solids have about 10 seconds of flight time remaining in the solid rocket motors before separation. Standing by for separation on the solid rocket motors. Solid rocket motor burnout, separation on 1 and 2, and then separation on 3, 4, and 5 solids. All 5 solid rocket motors have separated from the vehicle. All 5 solids are visible in the camera. As the Atlas V sheds the solids and continues to climb. Solids creating a very nice view there. As the spacecraft enters the second of 3 throttled phases of flight, the third phase will begin at another point in the flight. The Realistic Design Bureau is beginning the roll maneuver, the second roll maneuver of the Atlas V. To align it, its engines directly along the equator. Spacecraft maintaining a nominal flight, as the boosters were separated almost 4 kilometers ago, 1 minute and 12 seconds remaining in Common Core booster flight. Spacecraft is 19 kilometers in altitude and is continuing to climb as expected. The climb is nominal for the Atlas V. The 5 solid rocket boosters having been shut about 20 seconds ago. Spacecraft is now traveling 600 meters per second, surface velocity. The spacecraft is maintaining a nominal flight at 26 kilometers in altitude, velocity 716 meters per second. Our live coverage will end with Centaur engineering, with circularization. After fairing separation, the spacecraft will coast. Apoapsis of 51 kilometers. Entering the final phase of throttled flight. The solids impacted in the water and were destroyed. Standing by for final apoapsis of 60 kilometers. Altitude now 38 kilometers, velocity 1 kilometer per second surface. Apoapsis of 63, altitude 39 kilometers. Throttling back to 46% on the Common Core booster. As we prepare for confirmation of fairing separation. Fairing separation should come shortly. Spacecraft is entering the very final phase of throttled flight at 36% thrust. Spacecraft has a throttle limit of 36%. As we prepare to confirm payload fairing jettison from the internal camera. Fairing jettison is confirmed. The fairing has separated. Forward load reactor separation. Booster separation is confirmed. We have separation on the common core booster. Activation on the reaction control system thrusters. These thrusters use monopropellant, as we have confirmation of Centaur start. We have RL-10A4 start, as the Centaur and Massivecomsat 1 coast towards the circularization burn. At an altitude of 91 kilometers, correction, 90 kilometers. RCSGN2 purge burn is underway on the RL-10A4. Solar panel deployment is underway on the Massivecomsat 2 satellite. The Centaur burn is nominal. The Atlas V common booster core falling away. The reason for the haste in launching these is due to the fact that we have a MOHO window approaching rapidly. The spacecraft is powering on towards orbit, altitude 89 kilometers, as the spacecraft is about a quarter of the way through the burn, as it begins to fall back in towards Kerbal. About half the burn remaining. The RCS being used to provide additional thrust. As we prepare for confirmation of maneuver completion. The Kerbal Launch Services has been proud to bring you live massive communication satellite 1 coverage aboard an Atlas V rocket. As the Atlas now begins its roll maneuver, we say